Those two are for sale to whoever wants them. Currently up on my Instagram page. Not sure for how long. Hopefully not for too long, because this is kind of helping me pay for my college tuition. So, kind of like to get that done. This one is a custom order. This one's called Lyuda. This one is for a guy who contacted me on Instagram. I cannot for the life of me remember what his name is, which is really crappy, but here it is, and it's finally done. Way longer than it should have taken. He wanted like a Quaken sort of thing. He also wanted to keep the cost down, so we chose more inexpensive materials. Natural canvas micarta. I could have gone with G10, but I felt like this was probably a better match for the design. Same for the backspacer, natural canvas micarta. If it looks paler, it's not because of different material, it's because this stuff changes with hand oil. I had to change out the backspacer because when I was grinding the blade, the tip kept getting way too thin. You can see it's still quite thin. Before it was like going to a zero grind, and I didn't want that. This guy wanted the knife, he wanted it to be a little bit more stout, so I couldn't have it be like a zero grind up there because it would just be way too delicate. So I had to shorten the blade up a bit, which meant the handle was a little bit too short or too long for the blade. It also meant that you could grab the point with your finger. So I added a new backspacer and notched it so you can see blade sits right in there. There's no way you can ever grab that with your finger. Totally safe. And the D10 is easily strong enough that it's not going to be coming out unless you want it to. If you're really good at shaking blades out of the handle, you might be able to get this out, but recognize that the blade is very thick. It's 200 thousandths of an inch thick, or just around there, and it's a tall blade and a long blade as well. I just realized I didn't give any dimensions on blue. I probably should do that now. I'll do dimensions on both, I guess, at the same time. So you can see this one's quite large. It's just around a 5-inch blade. No, a little bit more, a little less than 5.5. And overall is a little under, it's like 12, a little over 11 3/4, which is again pretty good as far as the balance goes. Blue is obviously much shorter. Blue is 4.5 on the dot for the blade, and overall a little over 9.5. Okay, so that's done. So this is a big knife, and it's also a very thick knife as well. 200 thousandths thick blade. The liners are, I think, another 1/8 inch, maybe even a little more. It's really isn't the best way to measure them, but yeah, about an 1/8 inch. So very stout. This one's on thrust bearings, which are equivalently washers. It's the same thing. Thrust bearings is probably the more technical, official term. Washers aren't always the same, do the same function. These are thrust bearings, and I'm just going to call them as such. Very, very smooth. Probably even smoother than the last two. It just has a lovely glide to it. And even though it's on washers, it does still drop a little bit. Probably more because of the weight of the blade than anything else. Detent is good, nice and crisp, as always. There's no rattle, no anything, no closed play, very solid. And lockup is almost ideal. It engages the blade just about fully, but it's not too much later than it needs to be. This one, again, does walk a little bit, but that's normal. Just like I've said 3, 4, 5, 80 times now. I don't know. It's a normal thing that happens. It's just material properties and statics of everything. It doesn't move over very far at all. Probably moves over even less than hail does, which would be expected given that the stop pin is bigger. This one's a 3/16 pin. Hale's is a 5/32. So this one's very stout. I like this one a lot, actually. It's a lot beefier than I expected it to be. I really should have gone with thinner titanium on this, but it's way too late to change it now. So whoever's getting this, you're getting a steal. You really are. I went with a black G10 pocket clip for this because we wanted to keep the price down a bit. So instead of titanium, we went with this. It looks nice, and it works well. It's nice low profile. I had to relieve a little bit under the handle to allow space for cloth to fit under there. But it does work quite nice, and it has very strong retention. And on this one in hail, I got the plunge lines and the grind just about dead on perfect. Satin is nice and clean. And this one as well is finished up. This one is also ABL, the 61 Rockwell. Really needs to be about as hard as you can comfortably get it for the steel to work well. Steel's the same as like 13C26 or other similar razor blade steels, which have been used in a lot of Kershaw knives, but they don't perform well because Kershaw really doesn't treat them the way they should be. They undersoak them at a temperature that's too low, and then they temper them too high to make them even softer, when the steel is really designed to operate at 60 plus Rockwell. It's not designed to operate at 55 to 58. Then it doesn't behave at all like it's supposed to. It just behaves like junk, which is why those steels may have had bad record in the past, but this works quite well. It sharpens very easily, very easy to grind, good stain resistance, just enough chromium in the steel to resist staining without adding carbides. So think of like your traditional carbon steels. This behaves like that, but it doesn't rust. And I really like that. Maybe a little bit less tough. I like the steel quite a lot. Finishes so nicely. I did hand rubbed kind of satin on the spines of all of these. That's going parallel with the blade, which is a nice touch, I think. Haven't always done this, but I really like the way that looks. It'll probably become a standard thing now. All the edges have been very nicely rounded, very generously, very comfortable in the hand, and the edges, of course, on the inside have been rounded and broken. Excuse me. And then, of course, very generously rounded and contoured the lock relief area. Very comfortable. I see a lot of guys, they just put a bevel in there. Yeah, that's not enough. I see even other guys who take an end mill and they carve out, so there's like a hollow, like a really tight radius hollow grind in there, which makes no sense to me at all, because then you're pushing against two corners instead of one. How is that any more useful? I like doing it this way. And it's the most comfortable, easiest to work with, and it's the most functional, which is, of course, the main reason why I do a lot of the things that I do. I build knives that are tools. I don't build knives that are meant to be looked at and coddled and not used, because to me that seems rather pointless. If you're gonna do that, then why even bother making it a knife? Why not bother making a sculpture or some other art form? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So yeah, that's it. That's Lyuda. I like this one a lot, actually. You know who you are, the guy who ordered this. You're getting one hell of a knife, really. Like, really. One of the best. Yeah, it's really good. The case for it is just like the other ones. Obviously, it's bigger because it's a bigger knife. Oak as well. Really like the grain on this one. Especially out front here. That just looks so nice. The same leather hinge. I like this a lot better. You can get metal hinges for boxes like these, and I have done them in the past, but the little screws they come with break so easily. And the hinges themselves can jam and tear out of the wood and break, and it's just a hassle. This is much more robust. It's also less expensive for me. I currently don't charge people for getting these oak ones. They're just a standard thing to come with each knife. I will do them out of higher end woods if people want me to, but then they're an extra charge. I've got teak, which is a little bit harder to come by. There's a woodcraft that's like right next to my house here. I can get all kinds of stuff really easily. I can get black wood, purple heart, zebra wood, maybe even snake wood as well. All kinds of crazy stuff. Though you probably want to see that on a handle more so than a box, but I can do it if people want it. I can even do unnatural materials. I can do carbon fiber. I could do G10, micarta. Micarta I think would look really, really good. Might do that in the future. But yeah, that's it. That is what I've been up to. And I've got, I'm going to detach from the tripod for a minute. I've got a lot more on the way. So, still waiting on heat treat for blades for those 3. Those have carbon steel blades. But these other 6 are ready to go. I just got to get started on them. I'll probably start on these 2 right after the video is done. And then I decided, because I'm on such a time crunch, it's August the 21st is when my semester starts, and I really want to try and get as many of these done before then, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. Because I'd kind of like not to worry about it. So I've taken all my personal knives that are in this run, which are only 3 so far, maybe 2 because one of them had a bit of an issue while I was straightening it, and set them off to the side. So those might not get done until later, but one of them is my very first one with Damascus. And it's not done, obviously not yet. The blade this is how I got it back from heat treat. It's not been flat ground again. It's not even been ground. I just left this one totally raw beforehand, so I don't have to worry about messing up the grind. Yeah, that's going to look so good. Black palm for the scales. Oh, that looks so good. And I'm using aluminum bolsters because I wanted to, as an experiment to see how the aluminum works. It's a lot lighter than the titanium. It's a lot easier to work with. It's a lot less harsh on abrasives too. If it works good, I might do it more often, or offer it to people who want things like a titanium bolster look, but they don't want to pay the money for it. This is kind of a nice compromise. Yeah, it's going to be good. Oh, I can't wait to get started on that. So that is it. It's probably a long video. Hopefully it stays in the one part. So this camera likes to split things up when they reach a certain length. I think it's like 18 something minutes or whatever. Yeah, that's basically it. That's what I've been up to. And hopefully I'll have more stuff to show in the coming weeks. So thanks for watching.